Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are doing hard time exploring the absolutely hilarious and chaotic world of Scary Indian High School from the YouTube channel Hard Tunes. It's this fantastic story that reimagines school as, well, the ultimate prison.
Okay, so let's just dive right into the core idea here. The whole story is built on this one brilliant metaphor. School isn't just like a prison, it is a prison, a Qaid Khana, as it's called. It's a place where parents drop off their kids for what the narrator calls dihadi, which is basically daily wage labor, just hoping they'll somehow become successful inmates.
And every single day in this prison starts with a truly torturous commute. All thanks to the van driver Bayaji and his van, which was comically named Magic, probably because it was a miracle it ran at all.
I mean, just look at this schedule. It's an absolute nightmare. School starts at 9 a.m., but our narrator's day kicks off at 5 a.m. He was always the first kid picked up and the very last one dropped off. His commute wasn't a ride. It was a 4-hour grand tour of the city every single morning.
So you've got to be asking yourself, right? Why on earth would anyone endure this kind of daily punishment? Well, the answer is a tale as old as time, a true high school classic. He had a crush on a girl named Shameli, and she was on the same van.
Now get this, securing a seat next to her wasn't left to chance. Oh no, this was a full-blown tactical operation. He'd get on first, block the seat next to him with his bag, and then pretend to be knocked out cold. That way, when Shameli got on last, the only spot left was right next to him. Genius, really.
And if that wasn't enough chaos, the commute was made even more dangerous by these daily street races between Bayaji's van and the local auto rickshaw driver. Both of them were completely obsessed with being first, and they could not have cared less about safety. I mean, kids were literally spilling out of the vehicles onto the road. It's insane.
Okay, so if you somehow survived the commute, that was just level 1. Once you were actually inside the school gates, you had to deal with the terrifying prison staff, the wardens who ran this whole operation.
And the head warden of them all was a woman known only as Dawn, the school in charge. She was a figure of pure terror. So short she had to physically stand up while driving her car just to see over the dashboard. The narrator claims her height was actually decreasing over time, and the rumor was she kept a sniper rifle on the school roof. You know, for discipline.
Now, inside this prison, the entire social and economic system wasn't about your grades or how good you were at sports. Nope. It all revolved around one single solitary thing: pens. So let's be crystal clear about this. Pens were not for writing. Forget about taking notes. Pens were the official currency. They were everything. You could win or lose a fortune in these high-stakes tabletop battles called pen fights. Kids would go into massive debt, betting pens they'd borrowed from other friends. It was a whole economy.
And this whole system created a really strict social structure. It's actually brilliant. You had the low-class commoners with their cheap use-and-throw pens. Then you had the middle class, the masses, with their Jiffy gel pens. And at the very top, the ultra-rich elite, the 1%ers. They had the Trimax.
I mean, this quote really says it all, doesn't it? Owning a Trimax was the ultimate goal. It wasn't just about having a nice pen. It was the key to unlocking wealth, power, and popularity within the four walls of that school. It was everything.
So with a black market for pens and a warden who might snipe you, you probably wouldn't expect the teachers to be, normal. And you would be absolutely right. The faculty was just as unhinged as the students.
So let's take the English teacher. The students gave him a special nickname, Chota Bheem, named after that famous cartoon character.
And this guy had a seriously uncomfortable habit of getting way too close to the female students and asking them really creepy personal questions just like this.
But his main pastime, what he really seemed to enjoy, was just brutally hitting the male students. But here's the thing. He was so short that he'd have to physically jump up in the air just to try and land a hit, which would usually just connect with the student's waist anyway. It was both violent and honestly kind of pathetic.
So with guards like that running the prison, it's really no surprise that the inmates themselves just ran absolutely wild.
The absolute epicenter of all this anarchy? The boys' bathroom. It was a place where students would just steal anything that wasn't concreted to the floor. They started with light bulbs, fine, but then they moved on to stealing the actual water taps, leaving just pipes sticking out of the wall.
And what fueled all this chaos was this powerful sense of entitlement. The students had this mentality that, hey, our parents paid the fees, so we basically own this place. They figured they could destroy property, skip class, even ignore the principal, and face zero consequences. And nothing, I mean absolutely nothing, captures the pure absurdity of this whole environment better than this quote right here. This is one student giving another student serious advice on the best way to eat a urinal cake, which of course they thought was a breath mint.
So as we wrap up our tour of this truly bonkers high school, you gotta think, okay, it's an animation, it's an exaggeration, but some of these characters and situations feel weirdly familiar, don't they? Which leaves us with one last question for you. Who was the most memorable inmate from your school? We'd love to hear about them.